So I got a message on social media letting me know that there was some debris here at Admiralty Park Beach. So I stood up an event on Facebook, invited a bunch of friends to meet me here after work, and we dove for debris. I mean, the ocean connects us all. To me, it's one big blue ocean. Ultimately, if I throw a piece of trash or a piece of trash ends up in the ocean, it could float anywhere. And in fact, most of the debris that washes up in Bermuda is long-range foreign trash that has come from anywhere as far as West Africa or even Japan. Everything just swirls around and ends up on our shores. So we're all connected, whether we recognize it or not. Documenting all the work that we do is very, very important. And taking photographs and shooting video and even going live during these exercises is such a phenomenal thing because it opens up to the world the effort that we're doing. And in fact, most of the time we catalog the debris that we catch and put that into an online database. And just TBI facilitates all of that, whether it's going live on site, taking photographs and creating an album on Facebook, or posting all of our photographs to Instagram. It's just valuable, and having the internet opens up what we're doing to the world. My name is Weldon Wade. I'm a diver, educator, and advocate for ocean sustainability. What's going on? What's going on? What is going on? Shout out to all the divers, instructors, explorers, mermaids, underwater photographers, content creators across the planet, across our blue planet. How's everybody making out? If you're tuned in from Bermuda, wow, we are going through some stuff. We are experiencing a fourth wave. But yeah, let me know how the audio is. I got a thumbs up, which is fantastic. Happy Wednesday night. Shout out to TBI. I thought I was going to point the wrong way. Shout out to TBI for the flawless internet. And thank you so much for tuning into the stream. You could be anywhere right now. It's Wednesday night. It's September 22nd. You could be anywhere right now, but you've decided to hang out with Jessica and I. Yes, Jessica's backstage once again. And so, yeah, let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to the Wade in the Water Late Live Show, episode 8. 8 weeks at this, you guys. It's been wonderful spending my Wednesday nights with you guys, bringing in special guests like Jessica, JD, Magic, Fernando, talking about the caves. That's all in the replay at live.weldonwade.com. Check all that stuff out. We've had a wonderful time. It's been an amazing 8 weeks. But thank you so much for tuning in tonight, and I hope you and your family are well. I'm your host. My name is Weldon Wade. I'm a diver, educator, and advocate for ocean sustainability. I'm also a proud PADI ambassador diver, and it's my job to get you diving and keep you diving. This show right here, the Wade in the Water live show, is to help keep you informed, aware, and educated on what's going on here on the island of Bermuda, across the region, and the world, and to share stories and experiences to make your journey in this whole diving thing, more awesome. Tonight's topic is going to be all about the story of plastic, and we're going to tie all that into Aware Week. So this is Aware Week, which is PADI's not-for-profit that focuses on encouraging divers to use their gear and skills to dive for trash that has sunk to the bottom of the ocean. So not all debris floats. It's important to keep that in mind. So I just want to segue a little bit. I did do my PADI Project Aware specialty not too long ago. Actually, the date is on the back. 4th of September 2020, which was great. It was a wonderful course that I did. Talk about that in a bit. And as a proud Project Aware supporter through Guardians of the Reef, my organization, we have also adopted a site. Got this cool Adopt a Dive site flag. And the site that Guardians of the Reef adopted is actually John Smith's Bay. So we'll be doing our Dive Against Debris soon at John Smith's Bay, and it's all going to be on the PADI map. But like I hinted to earlier, we're going through a bit of a fourth wave with this outbreak. It's a bit of an outbreak, and we're really kind of keeping things chill. But in the comments, let me know where you're from, whether you dive or not, and certainly if you have any questions for us, keep them coming. I wanted to highlight a shirt. I got some shirts online. Wonderful company called Mountain Co. I'm going to show this to you in a second, but I want to read it first. It says, "Excuse our profanity, but F asterisk CK plastic." It said, "Did you know if we wrapped this shirt in plastic, it would have taken 145,600 days to decompose. This recycled paper packaging can decompose in as little as 14 days." Shout out to the wonderful guys at Mountain Co. for sending me a few of their t-shirts. I had one on earlier. It's a super light cotton. It says "Planet over profit always. Designed in Los Angeles, sustainably made in Portugal." Thank you so much for the shirts, you guys. So you know how this goes. Plan is to run this show every Wednesday night, live on Facebook and YouTube, with replay available right away and past episodes right at your fingertips. So we're going to do 10 episodes this season and make some adjustments, tweak and whatnot, make Jessica an official co-host, and keep it moving. So I'm not 100% sure what it's going to look like, but we're going to do some branding and whatnot, make it super dope. So strap in, hold on tight, and remember, maybe the quickest way to get to the show is live.weldonwade.com. So like I mentioned last week, and kind of obvious, I think we're moving away from this late vibe. I think 10 p.m. Bermuda time was a wonderful idea, but putting it to practice, it's a little bit too late. So we're gonna bump up the timing and maybe even increase the frequency of the show. So share, like, follow, comment, and subscribe. You can also dislike it. It all helps the show grow. And if you'd like to be a guest or jump on impromptu or sponsor, send a note to hello@weldonwade.com. You see where we're at. Broadcasting live from my home here in Bermuda, where I was born and raised. And out here, we're enjoying the last couple hours of summer 2021, which began on Monday, June 21st, and ends tonight. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but summer ends tonight. Just a quick bit of news. The Bermuda Underwater Exploration Institute is proud to announce the island's first ever Youth Climate Summit. So what we're going to do is just share the screen real quick. So during a full week in November, young people ages 13 to 22 will focus on climate issues, accumulating into a year-long action-based volunteer project managed by our Youth Climate Advisory Board. So visit the new website, which you're seeing right now, ycsbda.com, for more information. And she's on her phone. I was going to add her to the live, and she's on her phone. Hold on. We're building it while we fly out of her to celebrate the story of plastic. It's an Emmy nominated documentary, nominated actually for outstanding writing. So they've made the documentary available in its entirety for free on YouTube until the end of this month. So your homework was to check it out, about an hour and a half. So I'm hoping you did that, and Jessica and I are going to talk about that without any further ado. I'd love to bring Jessica on stage, add Jess to the stream. Jess, oh no.
There we go.
No, you're good. You're good. I was about to kick in the backup feet. I was like, well, it's either you or me. It's one of us. What I got to do? I got this 20-second window, this buffer. But Jess, welcome back. It's episode 8. How are you? Oh no. Jess, your connection has been fine all this time, guys. I brought Jess in about 15 minutes to the top of the hour. She's on stage and things are not going smooth. But we build it while we fly. Jess, I'm going to give you a second to sort that out. Wonderful to see your face, but it's super like 8-bit Nintendo style at the moment. So here's what I'm going to do. Give it a sec. I think everybody's okay. We got a patient audience. We got a very captive patient audience. Let's give it a sec to think. Cool. All right. Here's what we're gonna do. Because what? Hey, hello.
Hi, am I here?
Yes.
I can't tell whenever I'm not in. So
okay.
Let me see if there's
We'll work on some hand signals or smoke.
Right.
Like smoke signals or something like that, but it's all good. We are just excited to have you here, one way or the other. And again, you guys, please feel free to drop some comments. It all helps with the engagement. We're happy to have any of your questions um, pop up on the screen. We've got quite a few people on the live, at least what I can see in the StreamYard interface. Shout out to StreamYard. Sent me this dope mic. No, this isn't a mic. This is a mug. Sent me this mug. And but yeah, feel free to say hello before we dive into our topic. And I've also got a really cool presentation I'd love to share with you guys too. But before I get into my presentation, I wanted Jessica to quickly introduce herself. If you are tuning into this 8th episode for the first time, you know who I am, but you may not know who Jess is. So, Jess, if you can find a stable connection, um, please feel free to introduce yourself. And if not, I'll jump over to my presentation. So it's all good, no stress, no pressure, no one, yeah, everyone's happy. We're getting hearts and thumbs ups and all kinds of wonderful things back here, so we're good. I think the StreamYard interface is pulling the viewership from maybe Facebook. We've got 38 people in here watching us, so no pressure.
All right. Can you see me okay on your end, Weldon?
I think so. Yeah, just introduce yourself and we'll
All
go
right.
to while we
Hi,
fly.
everyone. It's Jess from Diving with Jess. I am back again. Weldon keeps letting me show up here every Wednesday, so
Yeah,
I
she
just keep
keeps
showing up
showing
every
up, huh?
Wednesday. I know you guys can't get rid of me. So my name is Jess, and I am based out of Houston, Texas. I am a PADI scuba instructor, and I focus on eco focus dive training and travel. My background is in marine biology and scientific diving, and I crossed on over to the instructor side, and I haven't stopped since. So I really enjoy getting to share the joys of diving and ocean conservation and travel with others. And so that way we can all stay connected and stay happy in this big blue world.
Yeah, for sure. And what I've done is, Jess, I didn't say I was going to do this, but I hit your Facebook page and it's
Oh,
up on the live. So everyone, take a sec now or anytime to visit Diving with Jess on Facebook and Instagram. Give her a follow, like her page. And yeah, what I've got up here is a bit of an agenda that Jess has had for this Aware Week. Hopefully, she just can share with us how her beach cleanup went and what else she's got going on for the rest of the week. And yeah, share some stuff.
yes, absolutely. The beach
We're
cleanup was fantastic. It was
Tell us
so
about
much
it.
fun.
Tell me about it because you haven't told me much. I've seen some stuff on YouTube
Oh,
and Instagram and Facebook, but yeah, tell me about it. How was it?
it was fantastic. So this was part of the Texas Adopt a Beach, which is part of our general land office. And it was amazing. There were so many people there. We were outdoors, we were out on the beach, we were all spread out, so it was nice and safe, but it was so cool. We saw there was huge groups of schools, there was different companies who had their employees there together. There was families, there was friends. It was really cool just seeing that many people. I was looking at the statistics, and they said that over 3,500 volunteers across the entire coastline of Texas showed up in one day, which is really beautiful. I think, especially after we had just gotten through. Hurricane Nicholas had just come through our way, so there was some of the beach cleanups actually had to get canceled for safety reasons. So some of the pavilions on the beaches, we have some that have like built up wooden pavilions, and you have to have access to get to the beach. You cross over little wooden walkways, and some of those were destroyed, so we were not able to do cleanups on certain beaches, but a lot of beaches were open and available for volunteers to come out, and it was awesome. As far as trash that we were picking up, my group, a lot of it was really small. So we were in Galveston over by the seawall. So we didn't have a lot of really large pieces of trash. That section of beach is pretty well maintained. But a lot of what we were picking up was really small pieces of plastic that was up back by the dune area. So right in between the beach and the seawall, we have like a large cement seawall that helps protect the island from storm surge.
Okay.
And so it's not like a natural, so we have the beach, but then there's a tall, solid concrete wall, and then the rest of the island's up above that. So the problem is when we have high tide or storm surge, it's going to hit up against that wall. But we do have some dunes, some dune plants that grow, even though it's not a normal, typical natural dune habitat. But they're really good at stopping things, which is great. But that's where all of like the little itty bitty micro pieces of plastic were getting stuck, and that's what we were picking up a lot of. Because it kind of acts almost like a net or a sieve when the water brings it up that high and it gets stuck in the plants. So that we were picking up a lot of little. I thought I was expecting big storm trash, but it was a lot of itty bitty plastics.
Interesting. Did you have any photographs that you were okay to share with us
Yeah,
tonight, or it's up to you?
yeah. Let me get to that, and I will share it with y'all.
And then we'll talk about the story of plastic homework. I don't want to spend too much. We could have a live dedicated to that documentary. And like I mentioned last week, having a watch party would have been very valuable as well. Being able to, you and I watch it with an audience and have dialogue and pause it and stuff like that. But
That would be super fun.
yeah, still working on it. It's going to be free until the end of the month,
Okay.
and we'll see what happens after that. I mean, I did download it. I don't know what's going to happen on the first, but
All right. So let me make sure I do this right.
and
Not as
yeah, and we're learning
brilliant.
we're learning how this works for guests in the StreamYard platform. So when Jess shares her screen, I see it behind the scenes, and I'm able to share it with you guys. So I got us a bit of a preview. So we don't want to get that sort of tunnel. It goes when you share a screen and a screen and a screen and a screen. So we'll figure it out. Um,
Well, let
let me
me.
switch up. What I keep forgetting to do, self-producing all this, is switch up that background to that. There we go.
Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. I
Hey,
wanted this
we're
to be
here.
nice for you.
We're here.
All right. But yeah, it was beautiful, and it was one of the nicest days. If the weather was fantastic, the waves there was like no waves at all. I was so mad at myself for not remembering to bring my stand up paddleboard.
Oh, it was
Kicking
that
my
it was that
for
good.
after it's never this flat. We get some really good chop here, and it was just beautiful, smooth, flat. It was gorgeous, and it was so nice. There was just so many people. It was supposed to. The forecast had originally said that it was going to be rainy and gross. I was like, oh man, I don't know if a lot of people are going to come
Yeah, that's
out,
a big turn off. Big turn off.
and but they did. But it was beautiful, and everyone showed up, and it was really cool. All right, so all right, can you guys?
They will. I'm gonna pull the trigger when you give me the okay.
I was
But
trying to
I,
make
I
it.
I see some stuff. Yeah,
There we go.
great. Ready? Here we go. One, two, three.
Mhm.
Boom.
All right. So these are kind of some of the bigger pieces of plastic you can see here, a lot of bottles. This is in one of the previous talks. I mentioned those big 5-gallon drums, the classic soda or beer rings. And it's not showing all the pictures to you guys. Oh, okay. Well, I guess it's going to keep showing you these. We had some more. I have some more of like the real little small plastics. It's just so much of it. Little tiny. There's the little nurdles, the pieces of unprocessed plastics, um, and then we had the little pieces of broken styrofoam, just and then all of the little tiny, like lots of bottle caps, so many bottle caps, and then a lot of fishing line, so a lot of like cut pieces. So I never got a strand longer than like this long. It was all these really small, and it was weird. Like across the beach, it was like a very distinct pattern, and I would see. So it was like from the same type of rope. I saw different colors and all mixed in, but I saw like the exact same piece, but it was like cut into like 1 or 2 inch increments, and we found it all along the stretch of beach we were cleaning up. It was really strange. It was made me curious as to where it came from.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Um, yeah, what was the most, I guess, interesting? Speaking of injury, the most interesting piece of debris that you found? Did you happen to find anything interesting before we
I
we move on to the?
did.
What
And
you,
I'm
what,
going to need the internet's help figuring out what this is. I found, I don't have a picture of it pulled up right this second, but it was a small, like inch and a half by inch and a half plastic sealed container or little baggie, and inside of it was a chip. And the chip had been broken, but it was a chip, and it almost looked like a holographic chip. It was a pale blue, but I don't know what color it was before. It was obviously like very water and UV damaged, but it looked like it had the flag of the Canadian flag on it on one side, and on the back side, it was just like a white sticker that had gotten rubbed off. But I could tell that there was like some sort of numbers that used to be on it.
All
So
right,
I'll have to share that with you
let's
guys.
do a little.
Maybe
Let's do a little
someone.
thing. I have the photographs of the
Oh,
thing.
good. Okay, you have the ones I
So
sent you.
let me see how this goes. So it's like sort of
So
a sachet, and
yes,
when you said flag, I do see something interesting
so
in
that's the
this.
backside. So right here. So, and if you look, there's a maple leaf, and it's really hard
It
to
is.
see,
It is. I
but
see it there.
there's and it was broken, so I pieced it back together, and then I because I was trying to figure out what it was before I disposed of it properly, because I just saw it, but when I realized it was still sealed, I was like, wait, what is this? So it's some.
Yeah, it's really
I was like, did
interesting
it come all the
thing.
way from Canada to Texas? Like,
Probably, probably. Who
and they
knows?
and the whole backside, like there's like some sort of white sticker on the back that used to have numbers, and you can't see, you can only see like one or two of them now. So
Yeah,
if
I'm
someone
looking at
knows
that.
what it is, let me
Yeah,
know. I'm
we'll get that
curious.
up and see if anyone knows what that is. I mean, I found some interesting things. I think one thing that stands out to be one of the more pervasive were of course monofilament rope, the glow sticks that are used to like attract fish to long lines at night. A lot of like industrialized fishing gear and stuff like that. But scooters. Some of our young people would joyride, our little motorcycle scooters off the cliffs and leave them for divers to recover with lift bags and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I've found some stuff. Found a ring, found an old gun, and typically, yeah, the things I tend to find that are super cool are after storms. So you guys had Nicholas, we had Humberto a year or so ago. Before that, Gonzalo and Faye. And what happens as well is it washes a lot of the sand away. So you get that erosion where to wash like
Oh,
a whole, you know, 16-20 feet of sand away, which reveals like these catacombs where you and I would swim and dive, let's say Elbow Beach for example, and then when you have 20 feet of sand gone, it reveals all kinds of really cool things that weren't there before, and then the sand does come back. But with respect to diving for debris and keeping things out of the environment that don't belong, do you have something you want to share with the viewership as well with respect to Aware Week and diving against debris and the whole Project Aware specialty? You had something up.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, I'm actually hosting the Project Aware and the Aware Coral Reef Conservation specialties. It's a dual class, and I'm hosting it tomorrow on Zoom. And I'm super excited about it. It's really fun because those two classes tie together so well. They're both out of the water classes, so it's just the classroom portion, and it has like a lot of really awesome information. And I get to tie in some of my nerdy coral and fish background into it, so it's really fun. You get like a little added bonus there, having a little extra background, not just little bonus, and get some pretty pictures and all sorts of fun stuff. So that's going to be happening tomorrow, and
Bang.
then this weekend I'm very excited. I'm hosting a advanced class, but and so we're going to be doing all of the 5 adventure dives. So the first 2 are going to be deep in navigation, but then after that, since it's Aware Week, we're going to be doing a dive
Mm,
against debris dive, and we're going to be doing a fish identification dive, as well as a peak performance buoyancy dive. So those are going to be our 5 dives for our advanced class. So they all tie in really well together. They all those skills, kind of, as all of them, each one helps the other one out. So having really good buoyancy is fantastic for doing your fish surveys, because you're going to be holding your
oh yeah.
clipboard. You need to be nice and calm and still. You don't need to be bopping all over the place. And same thing for diving against debris, and then deep dive and navigation. Navigation is so fantastic. It's such a wonderful skill. And I feel like a lot of times it can seem a little daunting or overwhelming. But once you get your compassing skills down, it's amazing the freedom it gives you in being able to get different places. Ooh, hey, JD.
JD's in the house. All right. I mean, certainly we talked about buoyancy and trim and how to be a fish. Learn those skills. They're very, very valuable. Shout out to you, JD. Miss you, bro. Um, yes, P performance buoyancy. We have
Yes.
a fellow PADI instructor in the house. So, Jess, I'm happy to talk about the story of plastic if you are.
Yes, let's talk about it.
All right. So we're gonna just quickly talk about our thoughts about the story of plastic documentary. That was your homework for the week, and then I have a very short presentation that I'd love to share with you guys. I value your viewership. I want you to get as much value out of these streams as possible, whether you're watching live or watching us on the replay. Just thank you so much for hanging out with us and spending your time. Um, let's add this up. I did a little slide. And I also did. It's so much like that has to go on behind the scenes. Or like I forgot to show it like tonight's topic, the story of plastic and Aware Week. So just to give everyone a quick heads up, if you had not watched the documentary already, it is available on YouTube. Look for the story of plastic full documentary. Watch it for free. It's about an hour and a half. And what I said to Jessica before we went live, we were just comparing some notes and fleshing things out. I just said that I wasn't really um, I didn't learn or hear much that had me like falling out of my chair. Having been in the space for such a long time, um, on the waste management side, certainly not the production side. I don't make plastic. I don't manufacture anything, but I've been part of the team on the ground that's been picking up the debris when it enters the ocean, and even doing cleanups where debris entered, the trees and bushes and blown up or gotten washed up, and then the tides receded. So this documentary really highlights a lot of that from the beginning to the end, back to the beginning, and it also highlights how different regions around the planet are dealing with this influx of trash. It touched on how we in the West used to ship our trash to China. That wasn't quite new. It touches on the recycling, the whole myth of recycling, where very few things are actually recycled. In other words, a plastic bottle becoming a plastic bottle again. There's that downcycling. And just how there's so many chemicals in plastic. It's not like glass. Like glass is glass, aluminum is aluminum. You can crush it and recreate something again in its likeness. But with plastic, there's just so many chemicals and different things involved. It's well worth the watch. Give us a thumbs up if you watched the show, the documentary. Please drop any comments or feedback in. But my 2 cents were: A, I need to watch it again uninterrupted because I was kind of multitasking while I was watching it, taking notes to share with you guys. So watch it again with an open mind and recognize that there's things at play here that make this a challenge, right? It's a challenging thing, and it shows the whole arc of how once upon a time we didn't have plastic in abundance like it is now, and then systematically plastic was introduced to our lives, and there are some very big, very powerful companies behind um, the process of manufacturing plastic, and how they're going to ultimately pivot because of we're getting a bit less dependent on oil and fossil fuels for our vehicles with the advent of EV, that they're like, okay, well, yeah, we're going to produce more plastic and make single use like shampoo sachets and single use we won't ketchup, mayonnaise, hot sauce, and sriracha. Like we've all got those already, and that's something I think we've gotten used to. But in certain parts of the world, we're putting lotions and like in mass, right? So, and then just the mountains of plastic trash everywhere, and how the whole like systematically things are just tough. I mean, and that's all I really wanted to say about it. I don't want to do too many like spoilers. I want to talk about it, but not talk about it briefly, but not really. Maybe I've already said some spoilers. Jess, what are your thoughts about this story of plastic? Did you learn anything new? Were there any light bulb moments? Any earth shattering information that like knocked you out of your chair? What did you take away from watching this?
I think the good thing about documentaries like this is a lot of times they're not introducing a new topic, but they're helping re-solidify that in our minds by giving us those visuals, by giving us the extra information. Um, it's one of those. whenever you know that whenever you go to the store and you use plastic bags and that type of thing, and you try to recycle them and do the best you can, or maybe downsize it, but seeing those visuals of entire river banks completely coated and it's not something that you could clean up in a cleanup. It just based off of the quantity, but then also I don't know, it's like slicked into the river banks. I mean, it's layers of it, and then more mud has come down and more layers of it, and they get shredded and nasty. And also hearing, that the person who ran the recycling center talking about how they didn't used to take the plastic, and then they started taking it, and I've heard this all from all different areas, and but that the bags just completely like gunk up the entire recycle line. So even when you're trying to recycle them, so here in my area we have it where it's like a completely separate thing. Like you're not supposed to put them in with your normal recycling, and there's like separate plastic bag recycle. But again, they were saying, that's not high quality plastic that's valuable to get used and turned into something else. So a lot of times, yeah, it does end up getting incinerated. And I thought it was really interesting that they showed in the areas where, when they're sorting through the recycle, and when you talk about, what happens to stuff that doesn't get, only a small percentage of recycle actually gets reused and turns into something else. So a lot of it gets incinerated, which you talked about, happens a lot in Bermuda as well. But this is a little bit different. This is like a really high volume, specifically like all this plastic waste, and about the consequences to the people who live near those places. Because that's a lot of plastic to be burning, and there's a lot of health consequences. I thought it was really beautiful. I can't remember. I didn't write down his name in time before the little blurb went away from the
I
screen.
know. Yeah,
I
yeah.
hope it's not too much of a spoiler. I don't think it
I know.
is. I think
I
I'm
was
going to
gonna have
say it.
flashed up like spoiler alert. It's it's a bit of myth busting. It's like anything else, and I was heavy on Netflix, in recent times, and documentaries about, and I don't want to digress, you guys, but just to frame it, like the honey industry, the avocado industry, the chocolate industry, water, bottled water, right? Where these guys aren't making the water that's in the bottle. They're making bottles, and they're getting the water for free and putting it in a package, and we're buying that, right? I did this thing, Jess, here where I you know, it's funny, and my guys in your room may find this interesting, but I have my scooter. It holds just over 5 liters of fuel. We pay $2.20 a liter for fuel. And when I was growing up, I was always wondering, how much does it cost me to get from my house in the city to St. George to see my grandmother and back? And I had it worked right down to the dollar. Well, down to the cent. I'm like, okay, Nan, like I like to come and see you real quick, but like it cost me $3.30 round trip to get done. So it was a really fun exercise. Just read your odometer and do the trip, and fill up your tank, and then I did a whole thing. It was crazy, but I did something similar to that, and I'm not a scientist, I'm just like a nerd. Something similar with bottled water. Take a bottle of water, see what the price was, divide it up by ounce, and figure out how much is this per ounce. And the study that I did years ago was like Fiji water was more expensive than gasoline. um and it's when you break things down, and in fact I feel like doing that again recently, because there's been this boom, and I don't want to poke at you guys, but there's a boom of Bermudian producers of some cool drinks, whether it's like rosemary lemonade, or these like homegrown drinks that are pushing wellness and nutrition, and but they're like $8 for this little tiny bottle. And I'm like, guys, I'd love to support your business, but I'm not paying $8 for like 10 sips of this stuff. I'd rather just drink water. Um, so I say all that to say, and sorry about digressing, is like each of these documentaries, whether it's End of the Line, talking about like more plastic than fish in the sea by 2048, or no fish in the sea by a certain time, or Seaspiracy, I mentioned to Jess before we went live. Like all these things are eye opening, but one of my, and I'm a like cautiously optimistic guy. Like I wouldn't be leading these diving events, and I wouldn't be culling lionfish if I knew in my heart like we're completely wasting our time. How can I say in one breath, okay, one lionfish can lay 30,000 eggs every 4 days, and then think that taking one out of the environment makes a difference. It does. Whether we whether we pick up a couple bottle caps and a couple glow sticks, recognizing a whole dump truck worth of debris is dumped into the ocean every few seconds, taking everything into context, you have to remain as passionate and optimistic about the overarching cause, no matter what, whether or not we've got big oil, big pharma, or industrialized, systems in place. We as a people, I wholeheartedly feel, have the power to control what's really going on. And when you boil it all down, the net of it is it's business, and a lot of it, not all of it, is a balance of supply and demand. And then when you look at the whole advent of plastic, when they introduced the single use lifestyle, like back in the 60s, was convenience. And we can go back to glass quite easily. We can consume less. We can do the whole like reduce, reuse, recycle, refuse, or rot for composting. um and I think a lot of it starts with our wallets. It starts with making conscious choices about what we're doing with what we buy, what we get rid of. It's a lot. And Angela, thank you so much for jumping on the live. I saw you jump on earlier and I was waiting to put your comment up. um yeah, it's definitely a lot to think about, and I encourage everyone watching the live or watching this on replay is check out the story of plastic. Send Jess and I any notes or any like thoughts that come to your mind, and like what's great about the documentary as well, Jess, and I want to give you a moment to chime in. I don't want to talk all the way, but this it touches on different regions around the world, right? It's not just a US focused thing, it's not just an Asia focused Europe thing or whatever. It touches on a lot of different jurisdictions. And I think what's amazing is how each of these countries or nations deal with the whole chain of production and then waste. It's just all fascinating to me. And that's why I think, traveling and seeing the world, and having a better worldview, because just because something works out well over there doesn't mean it's going to work over here. And in a more positive light, some of the cool, dope things that someone may do over there will be excellent over here. And it's a lot to take in. Jess, please chime in with your thoughts.
I think it's so true. It's one of those, you don't need to have two people simultaneously trying to create a metaphoric wheel whenever you can share knowledge and try to figure out what's the what's a good solution to a problem, because this is a worldwide problem. And one of the quotes that I wrote down that really hit me was, we need to bring in the kind of spirit of unity across boundaries, because these toxins do not understand political boundaries. I think that's so true. It's true when it comes to toxins. It's true when it comes to waste. It's true when it comes to fishing regulations. Fish don't know what a country's boundary is. Water waste runoff doesn't stop at a border. And so it's one of those things that, it's important to start local and to try to make changes where you live. But also whenever we try to work together as like people of the entire world versus our individual pockets, because so many of our problems are interconnected. And, if one group is doing one thing and one group is doing a different thing, that there's the borders that we make are imaginary. They're borders that we've created, not borders
Yeah,
that Earth acknowledges. So I think it's one
I
of those,
know.
making sure that we understand that whenever we're thinking about these things. And I think it was a really great reminder. And I thought he said it so beautifully. And I feel bad that I didn't get a chance to
Mm.
write down his name, but you'll hear it whenever it's about halfway through the video when you
Yeah,
guys
we'll
watch
we'll
it.
we'll find it.
It's
We'll find it.
beautiful.
It's on YouTube. It's accessible to everybody. You just find it, go to the middle and look for that guy and get his name and get the quote and let it marinate. But yeah, I mean, I'm just taking that in. Like the toxins don't care. And I always lean into human health, especially right now in the times we're in. Whoa, really reeling from um, COVID-19, and we're losing lives out here, and it's wild. But I know there's been sort of much more of a focus on individual and collective health, and recognizing not everyone out there is super healthy, and you've got your physical, mental, spiritual, emotional well-being that all ties in together. And if we're, eating too much meat, or eating meat that's not healthy for us, or maybe even contaminated because of the what we call a bioaccumulation of pollutants in plastic, and fish eats the plastic, and then we eat the fish, and it's all kinds of gnarly things going on. So um and yeah, Jess is the scientist and diving instructor. I'm just a guy from St. George's that enjoys bringing people together to pick up trash. Switching gears real quick though, Jess, shout out to Bermuda and Minister Roban. I'm going to drag this over. How does this look on StreamYard? Let me see. Yes. So Bermuda is regulating single-use plastics in Bermuda. I'm not going to play the YouTube video, but if you go to this website or just Google Bermuda plastics, you'll get this. And we are hoping to ban, or in this case, eliminate single-use plastics by next year. So with the work I do with the Bermuda Ocean Prosperity Program, Minister Raban is my minister, and he's doing wonderful work in championing not just the work we're doing with BOP, but also this legislation. So I'm really excited about this. So feel free, you guys, if you're interested to see what's going on, check it out. There's also an invasive species thing going on, which is cool too. That falls within my remit. But we're talking about some other stuff. Jess, I got a little presentation I wanted to run through tonight too, and we're 43 minutes into the stream. Let me just run through it real quick. I'm excited about it because the reason why I thought I'd put this together and show this to our viewership is, yeah, Jess is out there enjoying a Wear Week, where I'm more of like, let me stay inside while we ride this fourth wave out and not really bring people together to do too much. We're going to do our Ocean Conservancy island-wide marine debris cleanup probably in November. Keep Bermuda Beautiful championing that cause. Shout out to Katie Berry and the wonderful team over at KBB. So I said, well, look, let me just put a quick presentation together for you guys to let you know what's cracking. So boom. Let's see how this goes. So that's me. This picture's been a bit played out over the years. Every May 24th, Bermuda Day, this flag kind of goes a little viral around Bermuda, having the Bermuda flag underwater. But that's me, you guys. I'm going to skip the introduction. I already told you what's up with me, who I am, and what I do. This is the 10th year of the official formation of Guardians of the Reef. The original name was Bermuda Ocean Explorers. So I wanted to celebrate hard, you guys. I wanted to get on Uber Vita and have food and swizzle and celebrate, but we'll do it at another time. I dive on rebreather, open circuit, closed circuit, free dive, and I do the BOP thing. But what I wanted to do is just highlight Baba Deem's quote: in the end, we will conserve only what we love, we will love only what we understand, and we will understand only what we're taught. This was said back in 1968. Long time ago. This is sort of when I wake up, this is what's up, especially now that I'm leading into the education space, teaching kids 10 and up about all kinds of cool things, basically sharing what I know. And this is really the cornerstone of that. This is one of the cleanups I hosted years ago with BIOS. So this is what I really love to do is and this is what's going to happen as soon as the dust settles here, is bringing groups of people together to dive for trash, pick up trash in the trees. This is I think this is like 2015 or something. Brought people from BIOS together, and we had a wonderful time. Again, another year, another Keep Bermuda Beautiful effort. Shout out to Andrew and the Atlantic Mooring team. Andrew bought his barge all the way around, and it was a wonderful time with volunteers there. This is another group of friends, and you'll see Magic in the back. Check Magic.
Look at him.
JD, I ain't got no pictures of you up here. I don't know why. Why is that? Shout out to Chris Burville in the back, Magic, my cousin Kamiko, and some volunteers from BIOS as well. My cousin Shakur down there, looking all lean. But what I wanted to show as well, for the benefit of those that don't exactly know where Bermuda is, that's where Bermuda is. We are British Overseas Territory. We're about 650 miles east of Cape Hatteras, the Carolinas. We are a group of islands connected by bridges and a causeway, so it's just under 200 islands. Tourism is a distant second pillar of our economy. Our primary sources are insurance, reinsurance, and then tourism. And then we've got the world's highest GDP per capita. One of the world's highest. I know we're the most expensive place in the world to live. I bought some butter today. It was like $6 for 2 sticks of butter, I think. So yeah, Jess, you don't want to see my grocery bill, but So that's really the gist. I just want to show the pictures of the groups that I love to bring together. I have video and stuff, but I don't want to sort of clog the stream up too much. That was your. Let me put this up here. Look who's hanging out with us tonight. Magic. Let me go back. Where's it? How do I do this? We're building it while we fly. Yes, Magic's first cleanup. We did. So this is Mangrove Bay, Jess. The Bermudians in the room, and those that are familiar with Bermuda would know Mangrove Bay as being the epicenter for this non-mariners event. So around the Cup Match holiday weekend, you've got Cup Match holiday, which is also we celebrate the emancipation of slavery. We celebrate Mary Prince Day, and then we have the Saturday, which is like a day of rest in most cases, and then the Sunday is this non-mariners where there used to be a race. There's not anymore, but we do a big raft up in Mangrove Bay. Every boat that has an engine that starts. Shout out to my boat, my engine. Anyway, every boat with an engine that starts ends up at Mangrove Bay. Unfortunately, at the end of that, there tends to be quite a bit of debris at the bottom of the bay. You'd find divers in the water immediately after non-mariners to dive for treasure. People dropping shades, ferns, watches, rings, jewelry, chains, all kinds of things go missing. So yeah, we're diving for treasure first, and then we go back and dive for debris later. So non-mariners would happen, and then we'll get divers in and have a good time doing that stuff. What's this? Look at the face at the price. Oh yeah. The prices of stuff, Jess, is shocking. It's yeah. We'll have a live about that. We'll talk about that. So I'm just gonna breeze through these slides and stop when I find anything relevant to our topic. But in terms of active build leadership in the grassroots action oriented space, this you guys is what I love to do. Bring in groups of people together to do really dope stuff. Bermuda is also the shipwreck capital of the Atlantic. A bit off topic, but this speaks to how Bermuda sits inside of an extinct volcano, and we've got that rim, and then the deep ocean outside of that. So we've got our platform, we call that. So the North Shore Coral Reef Preserve in the middle, and then that rim, and then all the ships where the captains were like, "Yeah, I see land, let's go there," and then they're on our boiler reefs, and they are now like an underwater fort essentially. And that's what Bermuda looks like from above. We've got an aerial shot. That's the North Rock Beacon, Jess. So that's our northernmost reef before it drops off into the abyss, and then Bermuda is there in the background. This is what our homes look like. So this is St. George. This is a shot my friend Shayna shot. And ironically, I did not take this shot. Ironically, my grandmother's house that I grew up in is in the middle of the frame, that white house there, right to the left of the palm tree. So with the oleander flowers kind of on the frame, which is pretty cool too. This is one of our popular beaches, Church Bay. On Instagram, I'm always posting about Church Bay. It's on my way to work, so I get to stop there and do a little video walking down the stairs and showing off Church Bay. Spittle Pond, over under. I did not take this shot. Shayna took this shot too. That's our golden rainforest, or sargassum. So like up trash out of the sargassum. So like this has relevance to me because I want to share with you guys that this like is what we're fighting for. We don't want plastic and trash in our environment, and we want the ocean to do what it's supposed to do, which is what the ocean is supposed to do, without debris and trash choking and tangling up everything. No, this is our golden rainforest. It's our sargassum. Most people, when they think of seaweed, they think of the dead, decaying seaweed that's up on beaches with all the flies and bugs and stuff. Well, when that seaweed was in the ocean, especially the deep ocean, it's its own ecosystem. It's full of life, full of all kinds of really, really cool critters. And we can have a live just to talk about sargassum in of itself. I can drag JP Ruja on, and he can showcase a lot of his pictures of the crabs, shrimps, nudibranchs, seahorses, turtles, all kinds of juvenile critters that live in the seaweed. And this is a shot of Monica and I. We were out behind Morgan's Island, and we were, because Jess, you mentioned this earlier as well, how the debris will get tangled up in mangroves and the grass and stuff. Well, this sargassum acts as like a biofilter. So this natural grass will attract the plastic and all the rope and stuff and get tangled up inside like a biofilter. If anyone's had a fish tank, specifically a saltwater tank at home, you've got your filtration system, you've got your biofilter and all that stuff. I had a saltwater tank for a while. That's a whole nother live. It's offline. I had an outbreak and I had to shut that down. The healthiest reef in the region, So, Jess, you come to dive with Magic JD and I. This is what we'll be taking you to. Stuff that looks like this. We don't have the diversity of coral that you'd find in the Caribbean, where the water is warmer year round. Our temperatures do fluctuate. We've got super healthy, hard brain corals and a variety of soft corals, but not those big barrel sponges. And there's quite a few species that just aren't up here anymore. Then we've got a shot of the invasive lionfish, a couple shots of me, a little swim through, the wreck of the Hermes, a couple of shipwrecks. And then something I wanted to sort of end on is, people don't think like the reef provides for us wholly and solely, but we've got a study that was done not too long ago that speaks to the economic benefits of having healthy reef around Bermuda, and it works out to be total economic value of 722 million a year, or it says they're up to 1.1 billion per year. So when you break it down, valuable, right? For many reasons, but we've got an economic value yearly average, which is pretty cool too. And then I think, yeah, it ends there. It ends there. And that's all I wanted to share. I wanted to sort of, touch on all that stuff and do a nice hour tonight, episode 8. And that's all I really got for you guys. If anyone has any questions about the story of plastic or anything I covered in that sort of impromptu presentation, please let me know. Jess, you had any feedback about what you saw there, other than the price of butter?
Oh, it was really cool. I didn't realize how many islands were part of Bermuda. I knew you had your main island. I knew that there were some, but I didn't realize that you guys had 200. That's fantastic. That's really exciting. I had no idea.
Yeah, lots of little islands that have been connected, and we did have more islands. If we do a bit of research, what we discover is we didn't always have the big airport that you'd see. And if I had a chance, I'd actually like Google Earth it and show it to you. But the U.S. military came here and they decided to build an airport. They also decided to scale it up so that should the space shuttle run into any difficulties, it could land here too. So our airport is quite interesting. But they dredged Castle Harbor. Hey, thank you, Angie. I think you might have seen parts of that presentation before. Some of that was old, some of that was new. But I'd love to catch up with you ASAP. So shout out to you, Angie. Be great to see you again. When you're on the island next time, please let me know. We'll talk. We'll talk offline. But thanks, Angie. Yeah, they dredged Castle Harbor and did the landfilling action, and that's how we got the airport that we got. So there were more little islands. What's pretty crazy though, Dr. Joe Pitt, who I work with Bob, who's at DENR, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. She was part of a paper I read recently, and I skimmed it, but it just speaks to the conditions of Castle Harbor. The work that was done, how things were before, how are things now. And what's interesting as a layman is you can rent a boat or take your boat to the Finger. It's a piece of the airport that now is a solar farm, and the what surrounds this Finger looks like it looks like a beach. It looks like there's beach sand, but when you approach and jump in, and it is restricted space, it's the airport, so it's really not legal to kind of go over there. But it's all shells. It's not sand at all. It's all shells, and it doesn't take a scientist to look and see, guys, that some of the shells that you are holding in your hand aren't like abundant in Bermuda anywhere. And so the takeaway after just running this by a couple of colleagues was that like Castle Harbor was like the Bora Bora of the Atlantic. And of all the places for the military to dredge to make the airport, they dredged that. And it was killed off species that just aren't alive and abundant anymore. So, no, Castle Harbor isn't anywhere that we go to do anything. It's completely a silty bottom with nothing really going on. The last thing I was involved with, to just digress a little bit, was potentially putting some artificial reef balls out there. But then when you read Dr. Pitt's study, it talks to how when the tide changes every 6 hours, high to low, and the flow of water. Not to mention, Chess, that this Finger I talked about is a couple stone throws away from our airport landfill. So of course we're not incinerating cars dishwashers, refrigerators. That unfortunately still goes into a landfill. So we've got all kinds of metals and stuff that's in the ocean as well. So I think even if we were to put artificial reef structure down, their stuff might not grow. But for all you guys, thanks JD, for all you guys that heard what I just said and are gonna like get your boats and go to the finger and no, it's really like it's restricted space. I can't can't support going over there. If you do go over there, just be careful. Just lean over your boat and grab some shells if you want to. But they call it Shell Beach. It's nothing but shells. It is pretty dope to see. I do have a video on Instagram where I did shoot some over unders of the stuff. It is fascinating and it is very unfortunate that we lost this resource. And this is what we're fighting for. We're fighting for. If we only knew back then that this would be the outcome. And like I said to Jess, like before we went live, like I've said it before, like I'm cautiously optimistic, and sometimes I play devil's advocate, but sometimes I have to remind myself that not everybody thinks like me. Um, and so I just hope that some people think like, okay, cool, let's act in good faith. Let's make the best decisions with the information we have at hand. And sometimes you got to choose a lesser of two evils, but hopefully at the end of the day it's in good faith. Whatever we do out here. So even maybe some critics and detractors that speak to like, why are we calling lionfish? We're wasting our time picking up trash. I don't look at it like that. You know what I mean? Most of our lionfish are in water deeper than we can dive, but they're tasty, and I don't mind getting out there in the water and calling a few, and then having a quality meal with my friends and family. So we do what we got to do with her. But JD, I'm just gonna put your comment up. Yeah, be careful with the restricted areas. You guys pull up. Please don't say Weldon said it was cool to come over here. Um, my mom works over there. My cousin works over there. My uncle helped build the airport. Yeah, so don't get me in trouble, you guys. But it is cool. Look up the paper as well that Dr. Pitt wrote.
Well, I think that's super important. What you said is you don't understand the consequences of actions if you didn't do, and I don't know what type of surveys that they did before that's where they chose, but a lot of times it's kind of like the project that you were talking about last time where you want to go and check out all of those deep, like 100-foot spots all around the island.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
know what's there until you look. So if you make a decision off of an area that hasn't had research done to look at it, and nowadays a lot of times like there's a lot more planning that goes into things where you have to check out like multiple sites, and there's all of these different surveys that are done, and you have to figure out like what are the pros and cons of both for what it is that you're trying to accomplish, but also what are like the negative repercussions of either building in that area or dredging. We have a lot of dredging in our area too, and it affects so much. And so you have to be really careful and make sure that you're actually doing a lot of before and after as well. So before a project happens, going down, doing surveys, and then after a project, so you can actually see what the consequences are, because sometimes we don't fully understand until years later what the actual consequences of these different actions are. And so while you can't undo what has already been done in those situations, you can learn from that for future projects whenever it does come to like in this situation, dredging, and then creating
Yeah.
more land in an island. I mean, we have artificial islands in our area where it was just, we have huge ship channels that constantly have to be dredged to keep them the appropriate depth. So it's definitely one of those things where having that information and making sure that the data is collected properly, and you're actually
Yeah.
utilizing we can learn from our past mistakes and that type of thing. So certain situations you can't fix it, but moving forward with these types of projects where we go through and we follow a certain method, and we think about the not just the pros and cons of what action we're trying to take, but also the pros and cons of the consequences of our actions. I think it's super important.
That's what Jess is, the scientist. But speaking of scientists, family, I I want to apologize to Venice Flood and Dr. Robbie Smith, who I adore, because this paper that I was harping on about a few minutes ago was put together by Ms. Flood, Dr. Pitt, and Dr. Smith. Easy to find. I Googled it quickly. and it talks about, well, you can see the title, but for the benefit of those just listening in, the title of this particular article is Historical and Ecological Analysis of Coral Communities in Castle Harbor, Bermuda, after more than a century of environmental perturbation. I don't know what that means, but the Google's going to tell me what that means. It doesn't sound good. Jess, perturbation. What does that do? I don't know what that means.
You're cracking me up, Milton.
I don't know what that means. I think it's bad. But the JD
Sorry.
Magic, guys, look it up. It covers a lot. It's a wonderful piece of literature, and I don't think, like, we know Venice, we know Joe, we know Robbie. Um, I think, the community really needs to recognize these wonderful people for all the work that they do. A lot of it is behind the scenes. Last I checked, Venice Gordon was working for the government in waste management, like pretty much like head of waste management, um, who's also serves on a board of directors for Keep Bermuda Beautiful. So she's out there doing wonderful work. I don't think Venice gets recognized enough. Similar to Dr. Joe Pitt, Dr. Pitt, I know really from the Lionfish culling effort and all the work that she does through DENR. I know Dr. Robbie Smith with all the wonderful work he's done with bios back in the day and now in the aquarium. So, but there's no place I can go to like read a bio. I gotta kind of do a little bit of a dig, but I just want to shout out to all you guys in the scientific community that do a lot of work and kind of maybe get overlooked from time to time with the work that you've done. And I know that not a whole lot of research tends to go on these days, but certainly I saw a picture of Dr. Robbie Smith down at BIOS that was taken like 1976. I'm like, whoa, this is so cool. This guy's been at the wicket longer than I've been alive. And then I'll get with Dr. Smith on a Zoom call and I'm just looking at him and it's just, I get goosebumps because the knowledge that's in his head and everything he's done and experienced is just like, it's certainly mind blowing. So whether or not those guys heard all this stuff, I don't know, but it is what it is. Shout out to my local scientists that are out there doing all the dope work. And Jess, for your benefit and the benefit of people that ain't too tuned into what's happening in Bermuda, I did, like I said, Google Earth this and pull that up.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so this is where I hang out quite a lot around the Walsingham Nature Reserve. We've got Ferry Point Park, which is great. St. George, where I grew up, to the north, and then this is our airport. And this is that finger I was talking about. That's now a solar farm. And then, yeah, I haven't read, but I was told that our airport was built this way for the benefit of the space shuttle. And speaking of space shuttle, right down, I want to say here, there's an active NASA tracking station where we will have contracted NASA engineers on site down here every time there's a rocket launched out of the eastern seaboard for reasons of detonation. If the rocket was to veer off course, Bermuda is the last point of contact for rockets. I was told that by a NASA engineer. So they're there to push the red button and monitor in case something was to go awry. So what's really great, Jess, is that when you visit and JD, Magic, yourself, and I go over to Cooper's Island. So all this was, just to rewind real quick, right up until 1995, all this was considered, it was U.S. soil. So Bermudians couldn't actually go over to most of the land you see here. A lot of it is St. David's, but a reasonable portion of it was the U.S. military base that closed down in 1995. So when I go over here, Clearwater Park, and go over to these Long Beach and all these other spots, this was off limits for most of my lifetime. So it's a privilege. But we'd go over there, and this tracking station, you guys, has no walls, no barbed wire. If we know the guys are in there, we can go and knock on the door and they, hey, come in. You want to have a tour? And what, you guys want some snacks? You want some stickers? That's the experience I have when I go over there and I see the scooters parked outside. I'm like, yeah, they're inside. Let's go and say hello, and we get a tour, and it's really, really dope. But it just speaks to how Bermuda's this. We're safe. All of our resorts are pretty open. There's no, again, walls, cantonniere wire, barbed wire, armed guards. People trying to braid your hair and sell you trinkets. You don't get any of that here. It's just open and safe. We don't have any bars on our windows. Our police force aren't armed. We've got an armed unit, but our regular police service officers aren't armed. Um, Little plug for Bermuda. Bermuda is a very safe place. Jess, you'll be fine.
That's amazing. That's wonderful. Whenever you come to Houston, we can take you to NASA to Space Center, so you can see the other side of it.
Would love to. Would love to. I was in New York recently, and I did not get a chance to get to the Intrepid, the aircraft carrier um, museum, which I'm kicking myself. I decided to go to the Natural History Museum, and that was great. But I'd never been on an aircraft carrier before, and I'd never been on a submarine before. And yeah, I was looking at the Intrepid last night because I got into aircraft carriers when I was a kid, and I used to tell my friends I had the GI Joe aircraft carrier when I really didn't. My best friend Keenan brings it up all the time. He's like, "Bro, you didn't have the aircraft carrier." And I was like, "But I did." I was lying. So now I've
That's
got this
beautiful.
thing. Yeah, I'm 43 now, and I've got this thing about aircraft carriers and the USS Gerald Ford is like the largest aircraft carrier, and it's just huge, like beyond my imagination. I don't want to
Okay.
digress, you guys. We're talking about the stir of plastic and Aware Week. We've covered that. We've also segued a little bit. The stream's been live for just over an hour. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning into episode 8. Hope you love the platform. You love the show. Your feedback is valuable. There are 39 people on the stream. I don't know where you guys are tuned in from. I don't have those analytics. 40. I don't. You guys ain't saying a whole lot in the comments. So I don't know what's happening, but I'm excited. Um, Jess, I love having you on the show. I'm looking forward to the next 2 episodes of season 1, and then recalibrating and doing a deep dive into season 2, where we're going to take things up a notch and have even more fun. Shout out to all the viewership, all the divers, instructors, coaches, mentors, teachers. Yeah, it's a wonderful world out there, and it's definitely worth protecting. But you got to put your eyes on the water. So if you're on the island, or even if you're not, and you want to get some insight, you want to get some intel, you want to bounce some questions off of some people that have been doing it for a while, hit Diving with Jess online. Jess is keen to help you guys out. I'm keen to help you guys out. Some people that are on the live right now, JD and Magic, are here to help you out with anything you're curious about. At the end of the day, a quality mask, pair of fins, and snorkel, you can see a whole lot. And if you want to put an aluminum cylinder on your back and kick around and breathe underwater, that's pretty amazing too. I encourage everybody out there to try it. That's what I did, and now it's all I do. So, you might try it once and say, "Nah, boss, that wasn't great. Well, then it's kind of crazy. This is a little bit much." Or like what happened to me, you try it and you end up kicking yourself for taking so long to do that giant stride off the back of that platform of the boat. But we talked about that in another live, that if your first experience wasn't the most fantastic for reasons outside of your control, try it again. You know, we talked about this before. If the boat was too rocky, you were hungover, fumes from the diesel, um, could have been all kinds of different things that will accumulate to you not having a good time. Don't let that one time when things didn't go well turn you off from being able to explore this world, like this underwater world. Because I mean, you saw in the presentation, Bermuda. Speaking of Bermuda in context, we're 21 square miles, about 12,000 acres of land, where this little fish hook shaped thing in the middle of the Atlantic, surrounded by this beautiful blue backyard that's open for us to put our eyes in and jump in at any time, year round. So to those guys that say like Bermudians only swim between May 24th and what, Labor Day or whatever, no, you got a large cadre of divers that will dive year round. Why? Lobster season is from September through March. You got the free dive if you want to harvest lobsters from the sea. So automatically you got hundreds of divers, at least hundreds of divers that have their permits to go out lobstering. And then you got the spearfishing community, and then you got the recreational scuba divers, and then you got all kinds of people out there doing stuff year round. So don't look at me strange when I say I swim year round when there's 1,000 of us here. Like, and I know JD dives year round. I know Magic dives year round. I mean, I'm not the only guy with 4 wetsuits. I can't be the only person with like a dive. His garage is a dive locker. It's crazy. Um, I think I'm rambling, you guys. I'm just excited. You know, It's wonderful to have this platform and to have this opportunity to be with you guys. And Jess, you're live and direct all the way from Texas. Thank you so much for your time, your energy, your insight, your expertise, your tenacity, all that stuff. It's so cool.
Well, thank you so much for having me again. I love being here.
Yeah, it's so cool. We covered a bit. Any for everyone that's still tuned in on the live, if you had any closing comments or remarks for us tonight, we covered a bit.
Yeah, we sure did.
We covered a bit.
Uh, but yeah, just get out there. It's a wear week, and so no matter where you are in the world, whether you're a diver or not, go out, do something, learn something new, attend a free seminar, watch a cool online video, watch the story of
Yep.
plastic.
Yep.
Get out there, get diving, go do something good for your environment, and also start thinking about those things, those little switches that you can change. We talked about this the last couple of weeks, but there's always, watching a video like that kind of helps put things in perspective. So
Hmm.
start thinking about just look at your life and just kind of start seeing what are some easy steps I can start changing, and then maybe what are some bigger things that I can change, what are some harder things that I can change, what maybe make it a challenge for yourself, make it fun, but what are some of these things that can have lasting, lifelong effects, and to make a positive impact on your life and the world as a whole?
I couldn't have said it better myself. I couldn't have said it better. Let me put that comment up, that magic drop real quick. And this is again for my critics and detractors that would say, Bermudians only dive during the warmer months. Like magic, I actually favor diving as well during the colder months, whether it's free diving or scuba. One of the draws is that there tends to be less biomass in the water, so the water column tends to have better turbidity. It's just clearer. There's no coral spawning. It's weird. That's not the rule though. I've had some people fly up during the winter, like from Patty and Sport Magazine, when the water's real chilly and it's still cloudy, so it's not a hard rule. Um, and then yeah, lobster
How low,
season is open. Hmm?
how low do the temperatures get in the winter there?
Air temperature, low 50s.
Okay.
Um, I mean, and sometimes what'll happen is the air is actually the water is warmer than the air at times, especially if
Mhm.
the wind is blowing like cool Canada breeze down. It gets real chilly. All right, I think it's kind of unanimous in your room, you guys. Winter diving better, hands down. I mean, I spent a good bit of time hanging off when my boat was running, hanging off the back of my boat, getting the exhaust water, on my face and on my wetsuit and stuff. Yeah, mid to high 60s the sea surface temperature. Yeah,
Okay. So
and
pretty chilly.
then you get topside, on the boat, and the boat gets underway 25 knots, and that breeze hits you. You're praying for an open cell suit or some hot water or something. So yeah, we've got that fluctuation in sea surface temperature that does do different things. But I just there's many reasons. I'm not gonna list them all, but that could be a time for another live. Just comparing um the summer with the shoulder season and the differences in well, one of the big draws, which is obvious to my Bermuda divers in the room, is this whole um, unscientifically proven migration of lionfish, where during the summer they're higher. During the summer, they're more abundant. They're not as abundant in the shallows. Whereas in the winter, when the sea temperature cools, lionfish seem to be more abundant in the shallow waters. So that's a draw. Plus, it's lobster season. Plus, it just seems, and as well, it gets darker earlier, which opens up more opportunities for night diving, where you're not
Yeah.
getting home at 11 o'clock at night, right? But Magic JD, you guys, if you're still in the live, let me know. I mean, we talked about lobster season, lionfish are in the shallows, gets darker earlier, so twilight diving and night diving is more accessible. What else? We talked about the water usually being a little bit clearer. Um, Another comment a friend of mine made was like, there's less visitors around, so things are better for locals. I don't know.
I mean, I live in
I
a touristy area. Like I can relate to that. It's nice. It's great whenever people come, but it's nice when they leave too, and you get to have
I
your
don't know.
island back.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's it's, it's great both ways.
I think a big thing. I mean, I think one of the big pieces is the night diving. I mean, we'd go free diving at twilight, and if we go off the right spot, we're able to catch lionfish and lobsters.
Oh,
So
cool.
pulling that all together, citizen scientists, yeah, the citizen scientists observed this migration. One of this local scientists like chewed me out one day because he's like, "Well, it's not scientifically proven that they migrate." I'm like, "Okay, cool. That's what you think, that cool." But the data that I see says that they come up, and they did do some stuff in, I don't know. They did catch and tag some lionfish somewhere. Forgive me, I don't have this front of mind. And they did kind of move around. They wanted to figure out how they moved about the water column, and there was some interesting science.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk of vertical migration with lionfish. So it'll definitely be interesting to see what papers come out and they're talking about the flower garden banks down here in Texas. They're talking about it all over. So kind of once we get more
Mm,
information on that, and I mean, but the great thing about citizen science is that's the start of so much because you guys are the eyes and ears of the ocean. So whenever, I mean, it's the same thing with the fishing community. It's the same thing with mariners in general, depending on, all of the above, the people who are out there seeing it every day. That is where a lot of these cool questions come from of like, hey, I
yeah,
saw this, like, is this normal? And then that leads to more and more and more. And so I never ever want to put down citizen science. It's it's used for different things. It's useful in different ways, but it's fantastic because a lot of times those are the questions that spark those investigations of, oh, hey, there's this crazy fish. I get so many phone calls of like, hey, I saw this thing. Is this normal? And it's cool because sometimes you have the answer and sometimes you don't have the answer, and that gives you the prerogative to go out there and find it. So yeah,
that's
it's
cool.
really cool, and I'd love to look. I'm writing it down now. I'm going to look more into that. I'm super interested to see. Do you get any cool big migrations come through? Do you get any cool species that you don't see all the time that move in or away different times of year? Do you get any cool
No,
pelagics in your area?
no, just humpbacks.
Oh no, not a big deal then. Okay, I see.
Just the migrating
Spoiled,
humpbacks. Yeah, my shout out
spoiled. All
to
right.
my friends Rafal and Monica who got out there during this past migration. I believe it was a work day. I believe it was a series of days. It was 3 days where it was flat. They got out, and Monica shot some content that made it to the front page of the daily newspaper. I think her and Rafal hung out with like a female humpback and her calf for like an hour. The thing was breaching and jumping around. I've had a few in water encounters with humpbacks, but it's been a couple of years. It's a bit hit or miss during the winter. One of the cons about winter diving is we will get some gnarly winter storms. Traditionally, let's go back 10 years, we would have an on season and an off season. We've started to reframe that as the summer and then like the shoulder season. Bermuda doesn't switch off, but once upon a time, like all the dive shops would close, all the clubs would close, things were really shut down. So it had this off vibe about it. But yeah, now we tend to push to keep Bermuda open year round, and but in terms of diving, we would get those winter storms that can really cause some challenges. Just wind, right? Anything over 50 knots, specific, particularly out of the south, starts to get into that small craft warning area where the Bermuda Weather Service will issue this warning, and most of the time, boats won't go out if it's too choppy. We're dealing with some easterly that's not ideal. It got up to 20 or so knots today, and guys are just sitting around. Really, it's not worth going out. It's just a bit too choppy. Though, I did see a dive boat out on the Hermes this morning, early. So I don't know. It was like not even 9 o'clock, and it was a boat on the Hermes. I don't know what was going on with that, but I did pull over. I'm like, who is on the Hermes? Jess, I've done the course already. I'm just gonna hold up my cards. I've done these courses already: the coral reef conservation course and the patio aware specialty, project aware specialty. But I'd love to be a part of your courses as well. I don't know how Patty um, deals with people that take a class more than once. I don't know how that works, but I'm happy to run through that with you to, have you. I mean, I even get the card done so I can have your instructor number and your name on my card, and put
There
this
you
in my
go. Can
grandma's
go
house.
in the frame with all the other ones.
I know, I know. Boats don't go out. Tell that to the Coast Guard. I think I was probably speaking for myself. Shout out to JD and the Coast Guard, all you guys. I know a lot of guys that will go out when the conditions aren't that ideal because they feel that the Coast Guard won't come out there and do a little checky check. But I ain't gonna, I ain't gonna, say nothing about them guys. We do what we must out here, sir. Salute. JD works for the Coast Guard, for those of you that don't know. And guys, do get out there. What I always say is, there's always a lee. No matter what, go to the opposite side of the wind, and you'll be able to probably find some flat water. And if all else fails, and you want to get your gills wet, and there's nowhere else to go, um, find a cool cave or a cool bay or harbor to jump in and do what you gotta do. Jump into Mills Creek and dive for some debris, and who knows what you'll find if you dive that creek. Goodness, Boss's Cove. Yikes, that's a can of worms. But yeah, just thank you, JD. Stay safe, diving and doing whatever you gotta do. You don't want to have to be calling up JD to come.
Don't make JD come out and save you.
I know, I know. Goodness, don't. And don't say, yeah, but this out of the show is cool. No, it's not. Please don't do that. Um, guys, thank you again. I mean, this is how the lives seem to go. I say thank you a few times before actually getting off the live. Guys, we're not going to do an after party or an after show tonight. There's a couple things I want to wrap up before going to bed. So I'm going to bid you all adieu and thank you again so much for your viewership and for your time and attention. JD, Magic, Angela, um, appreciate all you guys all the time. Hit me up whenever. You guys got to get out there. We got to get to Texas or get Jessica to Bermuda and make it happen and keep doing what we love and keep inspiring people, young and old, to put their eyes on the water, the best way they feel comfortable with. That's how we all started out. You know what I mean? Breathing off the snorkel or set of regulators that first time. Jess, that's all I got for you guys tonight. That's all I got. Can I go?
Yes, you may go. Am I in charge now?
Guys,
You are free to
Jess
go.
is in charge. It's the Jess late live show now. Might as well. I mean, you knew this was coming, right? Guys, we got a couple comments. Thanks, guys. Magic, appreciate your viewership, bro. Gotta have you back on another week. We're gonna figure out what to talk about. Next week we kind of fleshed these out in the days leading up to the show, and I actually forgot to stand these up in StreamYard until like 8 o'clock tonight. I was like, I didn't stand this up at all. So I got to work on my workflow and a couple of different things. But like I always say, we're building it while we fly out here. Thank you so much. Any suggestions about what we should talk about? We'll be delighted to. The elephant in the room is that we haven't talked about Lionfish. We haven't talked about how Jess and I met on the fling. I really want the icebreaker about the whole Lionfish bit to probably be the last show. We'll go out with a bang. I'll get a bottle of champagne. So yeah, I just thought of that actually. So episode 10, Jess and I are going to talk about our experience on the fling. I've got hundreds of photographs and video. I'll not show 100 photographs, but we'll talk about it. We'll show some multimedia and video, and we'll do a deep dive into the lionfish invasion as it pertains to Bermuda and the Gulf of Mexico, and how Jess and I met and plans that we have for the future. So there you go. That is what episode 10 is going to be about.
Y'all are
Looking
in for a
forward to it.
treat. It's gonna be fun.
It's going to be dope. It's going to be different. And I'm going to try to get some special guests on that live too, Jess. We got some time to schedule in getting some people that were on deck with us back when we were out there too. So let's make it exciting, man. That's going to be cool. I like that. I'm gonna cue the TBI ad and log off. Thank you again. Such a pleasure, such a treat. I should do the old ad or the new one. Yeah, the TBI want me to do another one. I said I don't feel like doing another one right now. Let's wait till this fourth wave subsides and then we'll do something else. So let's do the first one. Jess, thank you. Have a wonderful night. Sleep well. Magic, JD, Angela, I know you guys on your live. Thank you so much. 23 people still on the stream. You're not saying too much, so I don't know what's going on there, but thank you for your viewership. Until next time, we are gone.
My name is Weldon Wade. I'm an avid ocean advocate, diver, and community activist. Well, for me, what I love doing the most is bringing the community together. I love hosting beach cleanups and lionfish calling events, bringing businesses and the community in general together to unite for a common purpose, which would, in the cases that I'm involved in, is removing trash from the ocean. I mean, the ocean really connects us all, and connecting with people globally has been important to getting my message out there. It's just been a wonderful experience connecting with schools and students to talk about the problems that our ocean faces. And it's great to get together with other ocean heroes to talk about what we're doing and getting our message across. I believe one of the cornerstones to protecting the ocean is human connection and awareness. So the more people are aware of how important the ocean is to our health and our well-being, that's very valuable.